Christmas had once been my favorite time of year, an annual promise of light, warmth, and fleeting harmony. Even if only for a day, we could pretend that everything was fine. But that illusion had been eroding for years, its cracks subtle, until someone finally voiced what had long been implied. This year it was my Aunt Carla, my father's older sister, who said it aloud. When she opened the door, her expression immediately darkened. Her eyes briefly scanned me, then flicked to the modest tin of cookies I held. Her voice, low and deliberate, was meant only for me. "We don't want you here," she said. "Go ruin someone else's holiday." For a moment, I stood frozen, fingers gripping the tin tighter than I'd intended. Over her shoulder, I could see the rest of my family already gathered at the table. Laughter floated from the dining room. My cousin Greg was carving the turkey. My mother was smiling beside my sister, who had flown in from Florida. There were plates, place cards, conversation. Everyone had a seat, except me. I gave a small nod, not out of agreement but because I didn't trust my voice. "Got it," I murmured and turned away, unwilling to give her the satisfaction of seeing me falter. I descended the steps, each one heavier than the last. It wasn't the first time I'd felt excluded, but it was the first time they didn't bother pretending otherwise. There was no pretense of welcome, no room left for misinterpretation. Back in my car, I placed the cookie tin on the passenger seat and stared at the steering wheel. I had no destination. Most of my friends were with their families. I hadn't made backup plans, foolishly believing this year might be different. My phone buzzed. A message from my sister. "Where are you? Dinner's starting." I blinked, surprised. So she didn't know. I replied. "Carla said I wasn't welcome. I left." Silence. No response. I waited a few moments, then started the engine and pulled onto the road. I drove aimlessly, the hum of the heater and the rhythm of the tires filling the silence. 10 minutes later, just as I pulled into a gas station to buy coffee and salvage what remained of the evening, my phone rang. Call from Dad. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen. We hadn't spoken much since last year's falling out. Still, something told me to answer. "Where the hell are you?" he demanded, voice strained and urgent. "What do you mean you left?" Before I could respond, a pair of headlights appeared behind me. I looked in the rearview mirror and recognized the familiar old blue pickup truck. My father had followed me. He leapt from the truck, slamming the door behind him, though it bounced open again. He shoved it closed and rushed toward me, wild-eyed, breath fogging in the cold air. "You left," he barked, stopping just outside my car window. Why didn't you come inside?" I lowered the window halfway, heart pounding. "I tried." Carla opened the door. She said, "You didn't want me there." He stared at me, stunned, his mouth open in disbelief. "She told me, we don't want you here. Go ruin someone else's holiday." I kept my voice steady. "So I left." It hit him like a blow. He stepped back, visibly shaken. "That doesn't make any damn sense," he muttered. "We set a place for you. Your mom made those weird sweet potatoes you love. Why would she?" "I don't know, Dad." I finally stepped out of the car. "Why would she? Why would any of them?" He was silent. I didn't want to make a scene. Carla made it clear I wasn't welcome. I hadn't intended to sound composed. Inside, I felt like I was 12 again, on the outside looking in, wondering what I'd done to be left out. I had felt this before, years ago, one Christmas morning, opening a box of used books while my sister unwrapped a brand new iPad. That same hollow ache returned now. The unshakable sense of being an afterthought. A burden. My father ran a hand down his face, pacing in frustration. "God damn it, Carla," he muttered. I folded my arms tightly. "So?" I asked. Was this just her, or did everyone know?
No one knew, he replied, locking eyes with me.
Your mother's furious. Your sister's in tears. Greg thought you just ghosted the dinner.
We were 2 minutes into saying grace when I realized your seat was still empty.
He took a step closer. I swear to you, kid, I didn't know. It had been years since he'd called me that. Kid. Something inside me shifted. I looked away. It doesn't really matter now, I said quietly. She said it like it was unanimous.
Well, it wasn't, he said, voice resolute.
And I'm going back in there to make that very clear.
Don't bother.
My voice was hollow. It's not like this is the first time I've been on the outside looking in. She just said out loud what everyone else was too polite to admit.
No, he said sharply.
That's not true. And I've let too much slide over the years, thinking I was keeping the peace. But not this time. I blinked. What are you talking about? He squared his shoulders, gaze locked on mine. I'm saying get back in your car. We're going back. And this time, you're walking through that door with me beside you. And Carla, she's going to answer for what she said. To your face. In front of everyone. Dad. I let it go when they criticized your choices after you left school, he continued, quieter now. When they looked down on your job. When they made you feel less than. I should have stood up for you then. I didn't. But I am now. His voice trembled, barely, but I caught it. You want to leave after dinner? Fine. But you're going to walk through that door, because you belong at that table. And if anyone disagrees, they can be the ones sitting outside. For a long moment, I said nothing. Then I gave a slow nod. Okay. We got into our vehicles, me in my small, beat-up Civic, and him in his old Ford pickup, and drove in silence. The road stretched ahead, tail lights blinking red through the dark like a slow, defiant heartbeat. I didn't know what I was walking back into. But this time, my father would be at my side. And that changed everything. We pulled into the driveway. I sat still for a moment, staring at the warm glow spilling from the windows. My chest tightened. It felt less like returning home and more like entering a courtroom. Dad didn't hesitate. He parked beside me, got out, and marched straight to the front door. He knocked once, loud, deliberate. Carla opened it again. Her expression shifted quickly from confusion to irritation when she saw him. David, did you find him? She asked, careful and composed.
Step aside, my father said, his tone cold.
Excuse me. You heard me, he repeated. We're coming in. He didn't wait for her response. He brushed past her, and I followed close behind, clutching the now slightly dented cookie tin like a shield. Carla stammered behind us, but he was already halfway through the foyer, voice rising over the hum of conversation. Everyone, can I have your attention? The laughter halted. Heads turned. My mother rose halfway from her seat. My sister's eyes widened. Greg lowered the carving knife. The room fell silent. I found out why my son wasn't at the table, my father announced, loud and clear. Carla told him at the door that he wasn't welcome. A stunned silence followed. What? My mother whispered, visibly shaken. My sister's mouth opened in shock. Carla entered behind us, trying to laugh off the moment. Oh, come on, David, she said dismissively. That's not what I said. He must have misunderstood. Go ruin someone else's holiday, I said, my voice cutting through the air. Pretty hard to misunderstand that. More silence. My mother looked as if she'd been struck. Carla, she said slowly, please tell me that isn't true. Carla threw up her hands, defensive. I just meant, things have been tense lately. He always looks so miserable when he's here.
I thought he didn't even want to come.
But the room was already shifting. The illusion had shattered. And there, in the silence that followed, something new settled in the air. Accountability. I had been trying to spare everyone the discomfort. So, you decided for all of us? My mother's voice trembled. My father looked as if he might throw her out himself. Let's be honest, he said, his tone firm. You've treated him like an outsider for years, whispering behind his back, making those smug little remarks about his job, his apartment, his life. And I let it slide because I didn't want to spoil the mood. But guess what? You ruined it. And if anyone should be leaving this table, it's you. Carla blinked, incredulous. You're seriously siding with him over your own sister?
Absolutely, he replied without hesitation.
I remained motionless, stunned beyond words. Not a reaction I expected, from him of all people. My sister stood up.
I didn't know, she said, approaching me. I swear, I thought you just didn't come.
I tried, I replied. She answered the door. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Greg cleared his throat. I think we all need to sit down and talk like adults. I don't need to sit, my father interrupted.
I just needed to say my piece.
He turned toward me. Are you hungry? I nodded slowly. He gestured toward the table.
Then let's eat.
My mother was already making room. My sister fetched an extra plate, and for the first time in years, I felt truly seen. Carla remained frozen in the doorway, humiliated and silent. No one invited her to stay. She left without a word. Dinner resumed, quieter, more tentative. Forks clinked against plates. Eyes occasionally flicked toward the door where Carla had disappeared, as if half expecting her to return in protest. But she did not, and no one asked her to. I sat between my sister and father, the seat that had been saved for me all along. The food was lukewarm now, but it no longer mattered. For once, I ate without the brittle, forced smile. I did not shrink in my chair, waiting for side-eyed comments about my work, or the obligatory small talk that always revolved around everyone else's lives, but never mine. No cutting remarks this time. No passive-aggressive teasing. Halfway through the meal, my mother reached across the table and placed her hand on mine. I'm sorry, she said softly. I should have been the one to open the door. I didn't even know Carla had gotten up. I nodded. It's okay, I replied. It's not, she said. But I promise I will make it right. There was something in her expression I hadn't seen in years. Shame, perhaps, or a dawning awareness. I didn't need her to grovel, but the apology meant more than I could have expected. For so long, I believed she simply didn't care. But maybe she was just accustomed to me being the one to endure the silence. Not anymore. Later, as dessert was served, pecan pie, my grandmother's cherished recipe. My father nudged my arm. I'm proud of you, he said quietly, avoiding my gaze. For showing up. For walking away when she said those things. You didn't deserve it. You never have. I blinked back the sudden sting in my eyes and nodded. Thanks for coming after me. He finally met my eyes. I should have done it years ago. In that moment, I knew something had shifted. Not just in him, but in the very fabric of our family. A crack had formed, and light was finally streaming in. By the time I stood to leave, my sister had hugged me twice. My mother insisted I take leftovers. Even Greg offered a quiet, "Glad you came." I left the cookie tin in the center of the table, half empty. For once, something I brought to this family remained. As I walked away, I glanced back, expecting to feel the familiar ache. But I didn't. For the first time, I was walking from family, not away from it. And that truly was the greatest gift of all this Christmas. If this story resonated with you and you'd like to hear more just like it, please consider liking the video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps bring these moments to more people. And trust me, the next chapter, it's even more unforgettable.